An engaging and moral story for children. The King Who Loved Flattery. Written by Mukhtar Ahmed. To listen to more captivating stories like this one, please subscribe to our channel. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like and share them. And be sure to hit the bell icon, so you never miss an update on our latest videos. The King Who Loved Flattery. Once upon a time, there was a kind and noble king who loved his people dearly. He was generous with his treasure, often using it for the welfare of his subjects. Peace and contentment prevailed throughout the kingdom, and everyone lived happily. Even the lion and the goat drank water together at the same pond. However, the king's minister was troubled by one aspect of the king's nature. The king delighted in hearing praise from others and would reward those who flattered him generously. Some sycophants in the court had noticed this weakness and took full advantage of it, showering the king with false praises in exchange for rewards. When the king attended court and listened to the people's issues, he hurried to resolve them so that he could enjoy the ensuing poetry and praises. The king felt a peculiar happiness from this adulation, but the courtiers who praised him had no genuine intent. Their only aim was to gain valuable rewards. One day, the loyal minister shared his concerns with the queen, who was also exasperated by the king's fondness for flattery. She worried that if he continued to shower diamonds and gold on those who falsely praised him, the royal treasury would soon be empty. "I trust you to find a solution," the queen said. "You are one of the king's most loyal companions, and I believe you can find a way out of this predicament." "I will do my utmost to resolve this issue," the minister replied. "First, I must understand why the king has become so fond of flattery." The queen reminisced, "Even when I married him, he would give away his pearl necklaces as rewards. He even had to hire many craftsmen to create more necklaces. I fear what we will tell God about this. The treasury's funds are a trust for the people, and we are betraying that trust. I think I should speak with the king's mother and see if she knows the root of this flaw in his character," the minister suggested. Just then, the king's elderly mother entered the room, leaning on her cane. "I came to ask what's for dinner," she said, noticing the serious conversation. "But it seems you're discussing an important matter. I'll come back later." "Mother, we were just talking about you. There's an important issue at hand that we need your insight on," the queen said. "First, let me know what the issue is, and then I can help," the king's mother replied. "Please sit down, and we will explain everything," the queen urged, offering her a chair. Once seated, the minister explained the king's tendency to seek out flattery. After he finished, the king's mother sighed heavily and replied, "The fault lies with me and his father." Both the minister and queen were taken aback. "What do you mean?" the queen asked in disbelief. Before the king's mother could respond, the king's elderly father entered, coughing. "Old age has brought many ailments, yet my hearing has surprisingly improved. I can hear everything from afar, including your conversation. My wife is correct, we both contributed to our son's fondness for flattery." The minister took a chair for the king's father. The queen voiced her concern, saying, "The way they're lavishing their wealth, it seems our treasury will soon be depleted. We have high hopes for you, minister, and believe you will find a solution." The minister straightened, cleared his throat, and said, "As the king's parents, you admit your role in this flaw. We need to know how. If we can uncover this, it won't be difficult to remedy the king's behavior." The king's father replied, "It's a long story. You both should sit down, standing will tire you." As they settled in, he began, "This dates back to when I was young and newly crowned. My own father had grown old and passed the crown to me. Soon after, I married a remarkably beautiful princess, whose fairness was such that water appeared to flow through her neck when she drank." The king's father glanced at his wife, who blushed and looked down. "Her beauty required constant adornment, and I too was not immune. I was caught up in my own hobbies of hunting and adventure. Soon, we were blessed with a son, and while we were delighted, we failed to abandon our pursuits, leaving our little prince to be raised by servants. As he grew, the boy yearned for our attention, wanting to share his thoughts and receive praise. But we were oblivious, engrossed in our own activities. The servants took advantage of this void, flattering him excessively, leading to his dependence on false praise. Over time, this habit deepened, and now we all see its consequences. This serves as a lesson to parents who neglect their children and think praising them is beneath them. The old king sighed heavily and fell silent. The minister pondered this for a moment and said, "I will do my best to correct this behavior." I must also add that parents who do not spend time with their children, who fail to listen or praise them, create feelings of inadequacy in their children. There are both good and bad people in the world, the latter quickly exploit such weaknesses. The king and queen lowered their heads in agreement. Just then, the young prince returned from playing in the garden, holding a stick with a guava leaf attached. He greeted everyone respectfully and said, "Mother, look. I made a fan from the guava leaf, and it spins too." He blew on the leaf, making it spin rapidly. The queen was overjoyed, embraced him, and said, "Our prince has made such a wonderful fan. Let me play with it too." The prince replied, "But you're an adult, mother. This is for children to play with," and he dashed off. The king's mother remarked, "If we treated our son in the same way, listening to him and praising him, he wouldn't have turned out like this." Later, as the minister prepared to leave, he shared some thoughts with the queen and requested she implement them. She promised to remember his advice. That night, as the king sat in their chamber with the queen while the young prince played nearby, she lovingly said, "I am so fortunate to have you as my noble husband, both in appearance and character. Your love for the people fills your heart." Hearing this, the king's eyes sparkled with joy. He took off his pearl necklace and offered it to her. "We present this as a token of gratitude for your kind words." The queen smiled and replied, "Your Majesty, I cannot accept this. My praise comes from the depths of my heart, no gift can express my sincerity." Surprised, the king said, "Others quickly accept rewards for their praise, but you are unique. It's simply that others' flattery is insincere, aimed only at gaining something. You, my king, are my crown. Anything I say about you is the truth." The king began to reflect. The queen seized the moment and added, "Our grandfather used to advise us that if anyone praises you, aside from family, it usually conceals a hidden motive." The king contemplated this, and the next day, before court began, the minister approached him. He whispered in the king's ear. Listening intently, the king's eyes gleamed with understanding. "Wise minister, your words resonate with me. I agree with your proposal." When court convened, all the nobles were seated, eager to sing the king's praises. They had hidden bags of money to collect rewards for their flattery. The queen, who had come to observe, was intrigued. The minister had asked her to witness the proceedings, promising it would be entertaining. Before court commenced, the minister stood up and addressed everyone. "Esteemed members of the court, you know how dedicated our king is to his people, constantly considering their welfare and what more he can do for them." His remarks prompted loud applause, with some nobles even standing in support. One exclaimed, "Long live our beloved king! We are fortunate to be under his reign." This caused an uproar in the court, and the queen watched with interest, having never seen so many flatterers in one place. The minister continued, "It is a joy to note that everyone present is prosperous. The king has decided that anyone who praises him with a poem, song, or prose will be required to contribute 100 gold coins. This will go into the royal treasury to aid the poor, widows, and orphans, and to help marry off needy girls. This way, we honor our beloved king and accumulate numerous good deeds." As he finished, a heavy silence fell over the court. It was so quiet that a pin dropping could have been heard. "Who will be the first to recite?" the minister asked. Northwest one in the court moved. After a moment, one noble stood and said, "I wrote a lovely poem, but unfortunately, I left it at home." Another said, "The children wouldn't let me write last night. Soon, each noble concocted an excuse, and when they finished, the king thundered, "We see through your tricks. Leave our court, we have no need for such selfish and opportunistic courtiers." Ashamed, the flatterers quickly left the court. From that day on, the king broke free from his habit and focused on his duties. He held court daily, listening to his people's complaints and addressing their needs. The queen and the minister were very pleased with this change, as the king had realized his mistake, which had also freed him from the self-serving flatterers. The queen's respect for the minister had also grown. She felt grateful to him because, thanks to his wisdom, the king had come back to the right path.